Hello and welcome to another episode of Ashley Haden's Political Breakdown, a show that goes through the news and tries not to cry. My guest this week is Harry U Eldrich. Hello, how the devil are you, Harry?
I'm good, Ashley. Thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, same here. I'm okay, bumbling along as best as any fucker can at this very moment in time. How about you?
Yes, it's constant hell. Every day is a new burden with other people being alive.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, even the idea of everyone dying doesn't give me the thrill it once did. That's where we're at.
I thought I'd wear this one for you today then.
Very kind of you, very kind of you.
That's okay. I know you're used to seeing me more in a slightly more formal get-up, so I thought let's mix it up a bit.
Well, you were dressed down last night when we had a drink last week.
Yeah, but I've been record shopping. Normally you see me in a suit and tie, but I just thought I'd keep the vibe going and actually wear something with a little bit more explicit sentiment on it this week.
I mean, that's very nice of you. Let's start with, because there's been some big news this week, as there is every week. It's so difficult to get up. Let's start with a trade bill.
Okay.
This week. So this was moving forward over in Parliament. There were votes on what the trade bill will consist of in the future. They voted against new clause 4, which was relating to Parliament needing to approve trade deals. So let's start with that bit before we go on to the others. When you hear the phrase "take back control," what does that mean to you?
That's very interesting. Control is like the buzzword at this very moment in time to feature in buzzword bullshit bingo. But take back control. I took from it pretty much what I think they meant at the time, which was let's make Parliament sovereign once again. Obviously, I was wrong. Silly me. Having
it seems strange that with the years of talking about take back control, when they get the opportunity, they vote against it. It suggests that the trade deals that we're going to be doing are going to be so bad that they don't want anyone to see it until it's too late.
Yeah, that does rather imply that it's more 3-line whip is not really the appropriate term here, is it? It's more like
fucking 9 tails.
Yeah, it's more like, look, you either sign this bit of paper or here's the firing squad.
Yes. Now it's if I was to compare it to something, I'll compare it to getting your hair cut without any mirrors. Go, why have you taken away all of these mirrors? How bad are you at this?
Well, yeah. Do you not trust me? I mean, do you not want to take back control of the lockdown haircut that you had?
This is it, and it's a continuation of saying, because they're still saying, "Oh, we're here to take back control," but they're voting against the control that they claim to want. What they've also voted against, Clause 11 by 337 to 251, which is the requirement for imported agricultural goods to meet animal health and safety and welfare, environmental, plant health, food safety, and other standards, at least as high as UK goods. So they're fucking the farmers there.
Yes, yeah. Well, they're not just fucking the farmers; they're fucking the consumer as well, fundamentally. Which I don't, it just defies any kind of belief. It has this ring from, say, more professional background of that person who's been project managing for about a year has fundamentally been playing solitaire on his fucking phone in meetings, and now that the deadline is 3 months away or something like that. Just kind of goes, any old shit will do.
Well, this is another example of what they were saying. We have to protect the farmers, and them completely ignoring it.
Yeah.
Yet
Well,
there's no uproar from everyone who voted for this. Say, well, this isn't what you've said. You're doing what you said. What you explicitly said it wouldn't, and they're trying to rewrite history as we go.
Oh yeah, of course. That's the one thing they are very good at. Let's be honest about it. They are very good at that kind of short-term retrospective. Well, you heard that, but that's not what I meant. Kind of double speak.
Yes,
it is. It makes me wonder. The whole phrase "take back control." You knew what they were driving at. You knew what they meant. They were fairly clear about what that meant, and now, of course, it's changed meaning. It just makes me think it was less actually a campaign slogan, and it was more something that was jotted down during a brainstorming exercise on a post-it note, and they just picked up the wrong one and said, "Write that in the graphic."
Maybe the people who voted for the idea of taking back control, they're the ones who should feel the most aggrieved, because they've been tricked. Because when they said taking back control, what they meant is, we've got the money, we want the power, we want control.
Yeah.
So that's why when they were saying take back control, they actually meant it, but just for them.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there are precedents in history of shit like this happening, aren't there?
I mean, constant, and they never end well.
No. I guess at this very moment in time, it could be slightly friendlier than Night of the Long Knives, but let's see what happens next week.
I mean, it's another clause, because every part of this trade deal made me scream out loud. Clause 17, 340 votes to 251. A new clause to protect the NHS and publicly funded health and care services from any form of control from outside the UK.
Yeah.
Vote against that.
Yes,
because we applauded for them so long.
Oh yeah.
That I just can't understand how anyone looking at this, and I think that's the problem. No one's fucking looking at this.
No one has looked at it. No one has really thought about what this means. I guess it's it's very it's very reminiscent of the wider, let me choose my words carefully here, the wider modus operandi of this government is that it talks in very, very broad brushstroke, quasi-inspirational phrases, which are vague enough to be like a Nostradamus prophecy, and you kind of go, oh yeah, that means that. Yes. And then what they do is, with a complete lack of any detail, they enshrine it into law. And it's just like, really? How many other contracts have you fucking signed where everything is open to interpretation? It's just like, none. I wouldn't fucking sign that.
Well, so, on top of all of this, what we're seeing as a continuation is that Boris Johnson next week, it's being alleged that he's going to bring up a new ideas for control of the judiciary.
Oh, that bodes well. That bodes well. I mean, the highest court in the land is meant to be independent. I also thought that was part of our constitution as well.
Oh, you would hope so, but the problem is that the government have lost a couple of big cases when they've been breaking the law, and it turns out the law doesn't like that.
Yes.
So they tend to be held to account for it. So you had the proroguing of Parliament, which we've somehow forgotten the fact that our government broke the law in an attempt to take away any control anyone fucking has anyway. I mean, we've got the most incompetent dictatorship you can possibly see. That's what it is. We've got fucking a Cabbage Patch doll who doesn't like judges, and you've got fucking it's Pinky in the Brain. That's who we're being run by. You've got Dominic Cummings there thinking he's the brain, with fucking Pinky there going, "Oh, what are we going to do tonight?" It's the incompetence that we see consistently. It makes me wonder why they're not just trying to make toast in the bath. And I wish they fucking would. Frankly, it would be a lot easier. But gone.
No, I was going to say making toast in the bath. I was hoping you were going to say I'd make it more satisfactory because, yeah, I mean, why not try using an electric toaster in the bathroom? I can see that ending really well.
I fucking hope they do. I really hope that it, because I don't think anyone should ever try to kill themselves.
No.
But I don't think it should be completely out of the mind of these people.
Yeah, well, yeah, and certainly, you know, if someone decides that they really want to do it, there's that ethical question of should you stop them? In some cases,
yes to literally all of humanity. No to them.
I was going to say every exception has got a rule.
Exactly. Now, what they're doing with the judiciary is they're expected to where is it? To set up a panel to review the judiciary, which is strange because in their manifesto, their plan was to hold a commission on changing the ways the court operates. They're not doing that anymore.
No.
We're not going to hold a commission to see if something needs to be done. We're going to do a panel that says it does need to be done.
Yeah, I think, I encountered that earlier in the week when this shit was happening, and there was something about it that just was at the back of my brain. And now that you've said it, it's just, people with their short-term memory, especially cultural memory, and their ability to seize on some kind of buzz phrase that gets thrown in. So if you remember when the Black Lives Matter protests were taking place, and rightfully so, and the scale of them, and the fact that actually as a movement it was really clear one of the calls to action was that we don't want another commission. What we want is action. And I think they seized upon that by kind of like going, we said we'd do a commission to see whether something in the judiciary changes, but as we know, commissions are really bad. Not in this specific case, they're not. In the case of racial systemic inequality, yes, we want action now because we've had fucking commissions. But I think they've just totally mercenary. We know mercenary is a very good adjective when you apply it to this government.
Certainly, because one of the things Boris Johnson wants to do is to define in law what court can and cannot be used to challenge. Now that is scary.
Yeah,
that is authoritarian at that point, because it's not for him to say what the law can do. It's for judges. That's why they're the ones who go. That's why they're the experts.
Yeah.
You can't have. Yeah, go on. Go on. What were you saying?
No. Carry on.
No, I was going to say you can't have a government try to take away the independence of the judiciary.
No.
And the argument is that they're too political. Like, no, you're doing awful things and someone's taking you to court over it, and it turns out you're breaking the fucking law. This is it. They're not being political. The only reason they're being political is you keep on being a fucking illegal cunt.
Yeah.
Stop doing that and they won't get involved.
Yeah, they're being too political, or nice defense against. Well, one side keeps breaking the fucking law, and that's my job. So that's my job to sort out. So I'm just doing my job. Yeah.
Let's go on to some more cunts, the same ones, just on a different aspect. The Russia report this week.
Oh fucking hell!
Oh,
fucking hell.
beautiful. Revealed that Russia used the UK as a laundromat to launder money and influence. Successive governments allowed the UK to be a destination for Russian money. There was, of course, and it has to be said, there was insufficient evidence to suggest that Russia influenced the Brexit vote, mainly because no one fucking looked, which is the maddest part of it all. Going, oh, there's no evidence. There's absolutely no evidence. Well, I mean, there's no evidence that I stole all the cookies if you don't look for the fucking cookies.
Exactly. You know, if you don't, I mean, I think basically what you're saying there is a harbinger of things to come, because what will happen in about 2 weeks' time, we'll find out that there were no positive COVID-19 diagnoses, but what we won't be told is because there were no tests done that day.
Well, this is the fucking Trump. Trump says that. Trump's, oh, well, the only reason that there's any COVID tests because we test for them. And you're just there going, are you high? Right, is this it?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing with the fucking Russia report.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's yeah, there's no evidence. And what was the other thing that really stuck out? I forget the exact wording off the top of my head, but the government, when it came to the 2019 election, didn't take the threat of Russia basically as serious Russian interference rather, as seriously as they could. And it was just like, do you not remember that case in 2018? You know, the kind of like fucking nerve agent in a small English market town that kills people in a really fucking horrible way, and it does it quite brutally and indiscriminately. If that's not an indication that you need to keep your fucking eye out, you know.
Well, I mean, like, they're saying words now, but like last week, and I mentioned this in last week's show, like Dominic Raab came out and said, well, yes, there was Russian interference, as you can tell by Labour and the leaked document on the NHS. Going, well, that's really not the point that you're looking at here. You can't say, oh, there is, but it didn't affect us. We're clean. Like, if it involved them, then it fucking involved you as well.
Yeah.
Should we get foreign money out of all political parties?
Oh, goodness me.
Because this is what it comes down to with this. I'm a firm believer that one of the reasons that our government hasn't looked into this is because a lot of their money comes from Russia. The biggest Tory donor at the moment is a woman who's given 1.3 mil. She is the wife of an ex-Russian finance minister who happens to be good friends with Putin.
Yeah, okay. There's two things that immediately come to mind on this one. First one is that if you think about the anti-money laundering sort of like way it operates at the moment for you or me, then there are, you know, politically exposed persons, there are sources of money which, if they landed in your or my account, would lead to us being under investigation and our accounts being frozen. Obviously, we've just discussed how the law is the judicial system is attempted to stave off being fundamentally undermined. But the way I see it is that the law does kind of state that the law applies to all. So I would argue on that case that, yes, you know, if someone falls into a PEP list, of which there are many thousands, if not millions of people, then, you know, political parties should not be allowed finance from any of those people or indeed territories. The problem, of course, for all political parties at this very moment in time, I would suspect, is that there's lots of money that comes into the system from good, God-fearing, white, English middle class, upper class individuals who've got all their money held offshore. And those offshore territories are also in politically exposed lists. So therein lies the issue as to why it will never happen.
Now, there's some interesting bits in the Russia report that took me. It made me question how anyone could think that nothing happened during the 2016 referendum. The main one being that there is like open source evidence that Russia interfered with the 2014 Scottish independence.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure why people would think that Russia would do Scottish independence, but would ignore the EU referendum.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, that makes no sense. You know, it's here's an open goal. Do you not want to take a shot at it?
I mean, one of the things that people will argue is that there's no way of proving the effect that Russia may or may not have had.
Yep.
Now, with this, it's all about the spreading of false information.
Yep.
Do you think that adverts and things like this, Facebook and social media, do you think that being spread does affect the outcome of a vote?
Of course it does. It affects the way people think. You know, it's you know, a few years ago, the kind of buzz phrase around social media was that, you know, it was nothing but an echo chamber, and that's, you know, it's because the way the algorithms work. You know, if you express a point of view or liking certain things, you're more likely to see similar kind of stuff, which is fine. That works when you're shopping on Amazon. You know, you know, it works when you're shopping on Amazon because, you know, yes, give me similar things. Earlier this week, I don't know if you saw it on Newsnight, they were looking at the QAnon bollocks. This kind of like,
yeah, they're fucking weird bastards.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the reporter and the investigator, you know, commented, but that Facebook was no longer doing anything other than encouraging people going down the rabbit hole. And I can't see how the rabbit hole and the echo chamber aren't fundamentally doing the same thing. It's just you know, it's to me, I think what, you know, yes, you see it all the time with yourself and with other people. The more and more they start posting links to certain news sources, the more and more that's all they're fucking seeing. Now, fundamentally, it does come down to, you know, yeah, if it's factually inaccurate, if it's factually suspect, then it operates like advertising. So treat it like advertising. And if an advertiser cannot tell you that this beer will make you more attractive to whichever sex you want to sleep with, if they can't say that in a beer advert, then treat all the bollocks online in much the same way.
That's very interesting. Having some advertising standards put in place for the spread of misinformation. I mean, of course, this all works. If advertising didn't work, companies would stop doing it.
Yes.
Very, very simple. With an echo chamber, I've never been a big component of an echo chamber idea, mainly owing to the fact that if I was in an echo chamber, I reckon I'd be happier.
Yeah, Ashley, don't forget, one of the ways your echo chamber would work is that no one else is allowed into it.
Oh, that would be absolutely delightful. But then I do worry with a lot of people that they're not seeing echo chamber. It's just their head so far up their own arse. It's an echo. But I see a lot of stuff that I do not want to see, because like on Twitter as a prime example, Lawrence Fox comes up every so often because someone that I follow follows him.
Yeah,
I don't want to see fucking Lawrence Fox going on about some knobhead bullshit that he's just come up with, strumming his guitar like a cunt. Don't give a damn about Lawrence Fox. Lawrence Fox is what I assume Tumour would look like if it was fucking publicly funded. Privately funded. Privately funded, not publicly funded. He wouldn't do fucking public funds, would he? Cunt.
Well, he's an actor, so, you know, I mean, the whole performing arts industry is fucked at the moment.
Yes. He's not going to be fucking struggling, though, is he? He's got all the money.
Well, maybe not, but, you know, there's only so much caviar you can buy after a while.
Well, we'll get into knobheads of money soon, because that's another fucking news story I've got. But still on the fucking Russia report, interesting that the report mentioned a notable number, didn't say names, a notable number of House of Lords have business interests linked to Russia and work directly for major companies linked with the Russian state, which automatically is dodgy. But of course, Downing Street have come out and set up, right, this is what we're going to do moving forward. One of the legislations they're considering is to include for foreign agents to register with the UK.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I can't see how simply filling in a form is going to not be open to abuse.
Well, it's going to be fantastic for the next James Bond, isn't it? You're going over to Russia. Don't forget to sign your name in. Yeah. Let them know you're there.
Yeah. So like, you know, I can see it now. Ashley Haden just checked in on Facebook to the Kremlin, Moscow, with a little gun emoji, kind of going, here to have some fun and do my duty.
Just fucking taking a fucking selfie with a fake moustache and those fucking glasses with a big nose on, like fucking Groucho Marx, going, they'll never guess that I'm a spy. Knobheads. Let's move on with more international news. UK suspending the extradition treaty with Hong Kong immediately and indefinitely. This is Dominic Raab announcing, owing to the new security laws put in place by China. Now, this has been in place for 30 years, and they've also extended the arms embargo that's been in place since 1989 with China. Is this an important move? Is this a good thing that we're doing? Will it come back to bite us on the arse? And should we worry if it does?
Oh, for fuck's sake. That one, I'll be totally honest, I still haven't got my head around that whole story. It's the only thing that's really clear to me about what's going on with reference to Hong Kong specifically, but using the axis of UK and China as a surrounding mechanism. The only thing that's obvious to me about it is that they have a 30-minute conflab before a press conference, decide what they should say, and then hope it makes some sense or it gets some likes on social media. My suspicion is that it will make things incredibly, let's put it this way, spicy between China and the UK. If not outright hostility, spicy.
And this comes after the UK saying that it would basically open up the borders for potentially 2.9 million Hong Kong nationals who have British national overseas passports. And their thing. Priti Patel came out this came out this week about that and confirmed that no fees will be waived in that offer. So that means that we're offering, and approximately you're looking at around £8,200 per adult. So this offer is this isn't even the DFS sale we're doing here. this is full price. Like, oh no, you can all come over because I know that your safety is paramount to us. Come over, and of course, please pay us nearly 10 grand for the fucking sake of doing so. So even this, the idea of 2.6, because there's poverty in everywhere. This is middle class, upper class. That's it.
Yeah, of course. And let's be honest about it. You know, China has come back and basically said that you know, if the UK wants to rescind on certain treaties, that they can rescind on certain treaties, and one of those would be not recognising the British overseas passport. So how the fuck is anyone going to be able to get out, even if they fucking got one? I mean, realistically, let's assume that the sentiment, if there was one, was correct. Fast forward a bit, you're going to end up having to take refugees as opposed to people with a British overseas passport, because that's the only way they're going to be able to. And again, it's just, like I say, I can't get my head around it, because it's like a jigsaw puzzle where every piece in the box came from a different jigsaw puzzle, but somehow you've still got a picture of Optimus Prime that you can get framed and put on your wall. Well,
right, back to the UK. Almost 9,000 public sector workers to get a pay rise this year. So
except nurses,
except nurses. Yep, and social care, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because don't forget, you know, clapping feeds you, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, the argument is for nurses that nurses are currently in a 3-year, in the middle, or 2 years into a 3-year pay rise. That's ending April 2021, I believe, and there's been no talk of it continuing.
No.
What's interesting is they go on about how big this is, how amazing it is, because it's above inflation. Oh, it's above inflation. Not only is inflation fuck all at the moment, so it doesn't mean anything because we're in the middle of a fucking recession. But like doctors 2.8%, teachers 3.1%, police 2.5%, judiciary 2%. Now, if with all of this talk, what people need to realise is if you do -1 plus -1 plus -2 plus -2 plus -1 plus -1 plus -4 plus -1 plus -1 plus 2, you're still down.
Yes.
And that's austerity. That's what it's done. There's been so many cuts. There's been so much cuts because this, and what they didn't fucking mention is with all of these pay rises, they have to come out of the budgets. There's no new money for this.
Yeah.
So they need to find money by doing more cuts. Those cuts are exactly what austerity was.
Yeah.
So that's all they're doing.
Or they could find more money by, I don't know, allowing. Oh no, they would never allow dodgy people from possibly Russia, possibly somewhere else like Saudi Arabia, possibly a few other dodgy territories. They would never allow that kind of funds to come in and trickle their way through, would they? I mean, there's another option.
Right, unless we start allowing like the NHS to sell weapons, it's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. I'll go and have a look and see what QAnon is saying about that next. Maybe it's part of Bill Gates's master plan.
Oh, right, the fucking conspiracies can blow it out their old, frankly. There's enough that the government's doing for you to not need to make up shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, when the story broke, it was just like, okay, so a nice piece of gesture politics. Clap. A nice piece of gesture politics. And don't get me wrong, if I was a doctor, a teacher, a policeman, you know, someone else in the public sector who was benefiting from this, I'd be going, oh, thank fuck, I'm getting a little bit of extra money. But you know, it struck me at the time, it's just like, this is after how long has there been a pay freeze?
Exactly.
So there's a little bit more fucking catch up. It's just like, you're 7 seconds into the 100 meters and you decided it's only at 7 seconds that you're going to try and catch up with Usain Bolt. Well,
exactly. Yeah, you've lost.
Let's see how that one goes.
Yes. Rob, let's go. Let's talk about Robert Jenrick, who is someone I've mentioned for the past, I think, 5 fucking breakdowns. So this is his newest attempt to not be an obvious corrupt piece of human waste. It failed, of course, but he tried. So he's a housing sec. He said that it was perfectly fair that he fast-tracked Richard Desmond's 1,500 home East London property development to save him up to £50 million.
Yeah.
Now, this scheme was deemed unlawful by the government for its apparent bias. What exactly does Robert Jenrick need to do to be sacked? Does he need to be found hanging out the back of Boris's missus?
Well, I would just say, you know, I've never seen, like, you know, the government handbook. What I'm assuming, once you get into government, and I don't mean you're elected an MP, I mean you get into that level of government.
Yes.
There is the equivalent of what you or I might have, like an employee handbook about staff codes of conduct. This is us, you know, all of that bollocks about values, and, you know, we treat our customers or our residents well, all of that kind of crap.
I assume it just says don't get caught.
No, I'm assuming it also says certain roles are required, and you know, they're available on a rotating basis if needs be. Because I think we all looked at Chris Grayling failing to get elected in a rigged election, and we're now looking at the heir apparent to Chris Grayling. Was he ever sacked?
Yes. No. Was he? No. Yeah, he must have been. He must have been sacked.
Well, yeah. If he was, it totally outnumbered by the occasions where he should have been sacked for gross incompetence.
Oh, but certainly, and he failed upwards every time. I mean, he's admitted that Robert Jenrick has admitted that he pushed it forward to save him money.
Yeah,
he's admitted this. I don't know what more needs to be done. Who does he need to go hand to hand, shake everyone's hand, and say, "Hey, I'm corrupt"? What the fuck? What the fuck needs to happen? I assume if he did that, everyone would go, "Oh, at least he's honest."
Yeah, I mean, you know, you want your politicians to be honest, don't you?
Continual in this, because there is so many fucking things this week that have shown just how all of our freedoms, everything. This is a power trip, just a fucking power grab, constant. Just before the summer break, because don't forget, MPs get a summer break because they're fucking children, and take that sentence any way you want. Just before the summer break, written statement released by the government. Responsibility for government use of data has been transferred from the Department for Digital Culture and Media and Sport to the Cabinet Office.
Yeah.
That change is effective immediately.
Yeah.
So the use of data has been transferred from the department that's meant to be in charge of it to Dominic Cummings.
Yeah.
A man who we know has a history with using data. From his time, I don't want him to attempt to sue me. Being a cunt with Cambridge Analytica.
Yes.
I think that's the best way of saying it.
I think you're on legally sound ground there. Yeah.
Yes. So, what do you think this means for how government data is going to be used?
Oh God. Well, having worked in the data field at this very moment in time, I think what it was definitely, well, A, yes, it's just highly suspect. B, I'm sure on some level there is some technicality in the data protection legislation which says you can't do that. So in other words, the data protection legislation that we have in place is like the independence of the courts, let's see how long, you know, that
going to be ignored. Yes,
is going to be ignored or just overwritten.
Yeah.
And I yeah, it's highly sinister. Don't get me wrong. I've got experience of working in the public sector. So I understand totally that part of the difficulty of when you work in the system the way it currently operates is that I'm sat across from someone who I know is working on something, and I know I'm working on something that we should on some level be having a conversation.
Yeah.
And they know that as well, but we can't because data might get transferred, which, I mean, when you think about it, that is just fucking frustrating. It means something that should take a week takes 6 months to set up a meeting about. But it's difficult to see this transfer of data from DCMS to the Cabinet Office as anything other than, well, as you said, a power grab.
It's a continual, because one of the things it seems that Cummings wants to do is very much a small government, where a select number of people make the decisions for everything.
There's another phrase for that, Ashley. It's Polit Bureau.
Yeah. Never heard that.
Well, yeah, it's exactly how the Soviet Union was run during Stalin's time. Yeah,
good.
You know, here we go. Here's the select 12 or so that make the decisions, implement them.
Fucking worrying, absolutely worrying. This is a bit more light-hearted. This next bit.
Oh, cool.
This is from the.
I'd not noticed anything light-hearted this week, so I'm kind of cool about that. Is it end the week on a high?
Yes. This is from the Culture Secretary, John Whittingham, who this week told the House of Commons that he was concerned about the BBC output pandering to the metropolitan elite in London and Manchester. So I want to be the first to congratulate Manchester for rising up to become part of the metropolitan elite. Interestingly, it is 10 years since the BBC moved jobs to Salford to avoid accusations of London bias.
Yeah.
So potentially the BBC can be very useful here, because if they open up new offices in every city in the country, then we'll all be metropolitan elite.
Oh, that'd be a turn up for the fucking books. I don't know. It's just like, how many fucking cities have you? Yeah. You know, this idea of the metropolitan elite. I totally understood. You know, there can be when the BBC was all, you know, all centrally all set in London. Yeah, of course. You know, you get people who therefore live and work in London. It can become. I totally understood that. You know, it might have felt if you're living in fucking Rochester or Harrogate or up in the Lake District or Staffordshire, it might have felt that, you know, all these programs said nothing to you about, you know, your experience of life.
Yes.
I totally get that. If you live in Downham Market and, you know, is, you know, a publicly funded broadcaster, do you really want to see another gritty urban drama? Or do you want to see something a little bit more Sunday tea time, set in the nice rolling fields? Here's a nice bumbling family drama about an incompetent solicitor who somehow manages to get through despite being a bit of a klutz. You know, of course you want some variety, but the metropolitan elite.
I mean, it is a term used by, and this is what gets me. John Whittingham is the culture secretary for the government currently in fucking power.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the fucking metropolitan elite there. the government are the elite. The government are
Yeah.
the ones who hold the fucking power.
Yeah.
Calling me the metropolitan elite is madness. It's oh, well, you're part of the metropolitan elite. Really? I have to pay £6.50 for a pint, and I want to chuck the pint at the fucking people, you knobhead. I don't
Yeah.
like that. I'm not happy with that. I've got no power. I've got no say. I've got no sway anywhere. If you want to look about the elite are the people with the power. The people who are telling you to watch out for the metropolitan elite. They're the fucking elite. It's not
Yes.
difficult to comprehend. When you got fucking
Yeah.
Jacob Rees-Mogg talking about the fucking metropolitan elite, you're going, not only are you fucking Rees-Mogg, you've got a double-barreled fucking surname, but you've had a nanny, you've called one of your children Sixtus, you're hired a fucking kite, mate. You don't know what the fucking price of milk is. I wouldn't even worry about that. That man doesn't know what a reasonably priced house is.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the thing is, I didn't study history at university, but I probably should, because since I graduated, it's, if I read, occasionally I read fiction, but predominantly I'm reading about history in some way, whether that be of something cultural or actual history.
Yes.
And I've always found the way that Nazi Germany, the Khmer Rouge, Stalin's Russia, go right back to Robespierre's France. Those kind of extremes take hold.
Yes.
And the one thing that's always troubled me as a result is this term elite. You're absolutely right. An elite is meant to represent or talk about those who have the power. Now, of course, power takes shape in many different forms. And yes, the media has a power. Social media has a power. So we're talking about an elite within the media or its ability to influence and control. But whenever you've got something really fucking sinister in the cooking pot, that's when the term they, them, stroke them, or elite starts getting bandied around left, right, and fucking centre.
That is populism. It's all populism is saying, well, it's us against them, and painting them as the fucking elite, where you're the fucking working man. You're going, oh, you're the working man, Defethel Johnson. Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yes. Yeah. When they got elected, the people's government. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that screams of fucking China, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Let's go away from politics.
Okay.
Because we're coming towards the end of this. So let's go on to another fun subject. News website The Day, which is aimed at school children, have agreed to pay an unsubstantiated amount to J.K. Rowling after implying that her comments on gender caused harm to trans people. Now, The Day is designed to get teenagers to discuss current affairs, which sounds like a very good thing. And they mentioned in one of the articles of Rowling using people who menstruate instead of saying women. And the article in question asked teenagers to consider if it is possible to still enjoy great works of art by deeply unpleasant people such as Picasso and Richard Wagner. Now, J.K. Rowling employed libel lawyers for this. Now, the first and I think most obvious question is, when you talk about free speech and how it's being taken away, and maybe you go along and sign this massive letter with a lot of other authors saying how much you worry about free speech being removed and you stop people from talking and all of this. If your next step is to attempt to do people for libel, are you talking out your hole?
Yeah. I mean, or if you're not talking out of your hole, you're certainly hoisting yourself by your own petard.
Yes, and of course we have to point out at this point, I mean menstruating hole, just so she likes the words. I'd hate her to attempt to fucking sue me.
I mean, you know, it's free speech. Yeah, I mean, I do value that as a concept, and I do think that just because an idea is one, uncomfortable, two, difficult, or three, abhorrent to you, doesn't mean that another person should not be allowed to express an idea. I mean, don't get me wrong, J.K. Rowling, and I've never read a Harry Potter book in my life. I don't give a fuck.
Neither have I.
Okay, and I've not read any of her other stuff, and all I know the name. I pay no attention to this kind of circus around her. But unless I am very much mistaken, I don't think she's gone and advocated doing anything about trans people.
No, she's not. She has yet to say that they shouldn't exist. She has suggested that trans women aren't actually women, or trans men aren't actually men. So although she hasn't said that they shouldn't exist, she is almost insinuating that they don't exist in how they feel they do.
So in which case, you know, let her say that, but let other people tell her what a twat she is. You know, and if she can't fucking deal with that, or she can't deal with being likened to someone like Richard Wagner, whose political ideas, I don't care how nice he was to fucking kittens and how good the Ring Cycle is. He's a deeply unpleasant person with deeply unpleasant opinions.
Yeah.
If she can't deal with a parallel being drawn between her fucking children's books and what she's saying on a different issue, and Wagner's music and what he said about Jews and thought about Jews, then, you know, keep your fucking mouth shut. You wouldn't be involved in this if you just shut your fucking mouth, which is what the freedom of speech and freedom of expression allows you to do equally. It affords you the ability to shut up.
I always think with freedom of speech, I think no one in this world believes in freedom of speech complete. No one does. No. Which is why so many right-wing people love to threaten to sue. So what it means is that any argument on free speech is all about just where your line is.
Yes.
Everything about it. There's a reason why, and I use him as an example all the time for this. Is there's a reason why no one is saying that we should allow Amjad Chowdhury to have his own TV show.
Yeah.
There's no one defending him, saying that he shouldn't have been put in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very strange for these people who call themselves like free speech extremists. I mean, one of the main reasons is because these free speech extremists tend to be massively racist. And so they would never defend someone who doesn't say exactly what they want. But
well, yeah, and again, though, that, you know, those very same people, a lot of them were remarkably rise last year by, I forget their fucking name now. I don't particularly like the song, but there's a band whose chorus to their catchy little number was "Kill, kill, kill Tory scum," which you could say actually under free speech legislation is an incitement to hatred. But
certainly.
But, you know, it's in a song, and, you know, they're all free speech advocates. You got to be allowed to express your opinion. But not that opinion. It's just everyone. I always worry where my line will be, because I know I have that line, as you're talking about. And obviously I've had things said to me, or I've overheard stuff, and been exposed to opinions which I I just can't. It's not. I can't get my head around. I can't tolerate them. I just think that. I think they're vile.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that there's always that point with a human being where you just they turn into a fascist. There's a fascist inside everyone.
Yes.
And the weird thing is, of course, at that point you're remarkably against free speech, which is why sometimes I just keep my fucking mouth shut.
Well, I mean, yeah, the concept of free speech, we're not in a position where we're grown up enough to, as a society, to deal with the issues that we're facing at the moment. Because we can't talk about them, because if we do talk about them and we allow both sides to talk, both sides will try to stop the other from talking. There is no good sign. Right, we're going to go through the final pieces of news, but
incidentally,
yes.
Final thing I just wanted to say about freedom of speech is that freedom of speech has never paid my bills.
No, it never has. I never paid mine either, and I know how much
I don't see any homeless people begging for money also asking for their freedom of speech.
No, it's quite a privileged aspect at the moment, because it's not, because freedom of speech, although, as I say, I did bits in previous shows with regards to why no one talks about prevent when they're talking about the destruction of freedom of speech, because that's actually something that happens. Or the you had the like the Press Freedoms Act and all of this stuff. You see, that's a takeaway of freedom of speech, but no one talks about them and those problems, because not only do they not care, but that's not going to bring in the fucking moolah.
No.
If you say, I'm not allowed to say the N-word at this person, then that's going to get you some fucking likes. That's why they do it that way. Right. This is going to be very quick. Marks and Spencer says 950 jobs could be axed in latest round of cuts to the high street. Boots and John Lewis also having cuts. Can the high street and should the high street be saved? I'm not asking how. I'm just asking if it can and should it be.
It probably can in the long term. Should it? Yes, I think so. It will be very difficult.
Okay. Avon, one of the best known multi-level marketing companies, acquired more than twice its usual number of gullible bastards to sell its shit during the lockdown period. Lack of jobs and opportunity during the pandemic, seeing a sharp rise in the people. Interestingly, in the US, MLMs have to produce income disclosure statements. Analysts analyzing these show that 99.7% of those who sell for them lose money. Should things like Avon and this be banned?
Oh, for fuck's sake! I don't know.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. Jeff Bezos, supervillain to the stars, already the world's richest man, broke a new record when on Monday his net worth went up by £10 billion, taking his wealth to $189 billion. Very simple, and this will be the final bit. With this type of money, it's not, at this point, it's not wealth, it's a GDP. Can something be done? Even when you're taxing at this point, how would you tax and stop this rise in inequality that we're seeing?
Do you want this to be specific to Bezos or more general?
Let's do specific to Bezos.
Well, specific to Bezos, you save the high street.
Yeah, valid. We need to do something. That amount of money, no one should have. No one should have. I saw a very interesting thing, or a funny thing, a tweet that said that when he dies, he should go to hell and have to work on minimum wage until he earns the amount of money that he has in here. I think it would be fucking fantastic, because it's something like 5.9 million years. Madness. That shows everything exactly, and the idea that he did invent it all in his shed, yeah, but the reason it got to where it is because he screws over people. He's not a fucking lone genius. The people around him helped grow it. The people who work for him helped grow it. No one is self-made. No one.
No.
It's a
I mean,
lie.
Amazon is a really interesting case in point as well, because and I guess it's the same paradigm takes place with the press. The paparazzi, they took pictures of Princess Diana, and that's what led to her death. Yeah, but they were put into papers that you fuckers were buying en masse because you knew there were going to be pictures of Princess Diana in them.
Yeah.
So where does the fault actually lie? Well, is it with the consumer? But why is the consumer using Amazon? Because Amazon does something very, very well. No one's particularly interested in what goes on in the staff room behind the counter of behind the counters and the tills of Tesco's. They don't care about bullying and all of the rest there. But if they can get their bog roll, all their food and the booze that they want on their weekly shop, there you go.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
Right. Do you have anything to plug?
Do I have anything to plug? No. Just, other than saying in general, just, and to you specifically, Ashley, just do yourself a treat for half an hour, at least a week. Pay no attention to the news. It sometimes helps.
Yeah, but in that time, the 30 minutes I do spend a week not paying attention to the news, I tend to be screaming into a pillow.
Okay,
which helps.
Watch a cartoon. I always find they help.
Well, thank you very much
no worries,
for coming on. I'll talk to you briefly when we've stopped recording, so
sure.
It's not awkward. So I want to thank my guests, Harry U Eldrich. Thank you all for watching. Do whatever you need to for all of this. Enjoy your week, and stop recording.